Welcome to TLC for the Soul podcast, where soul meets spirit. You have entered into sacred space. I'm your host, TAMI Lynn Chambers, and I'm here to help you shine. Now let's get going on this podcast journey.
I'm a chicken. Hello. Pressing all the buttons. I'm trying to do Bringers of the Light Sunday live on Instagram. Trying to get it into focus. Okay, so I'm not waiting to see if anybody joins. If people join, that's fine because we are recording the podcast live. So I want to welcome all of you here, whether you're new, whether you've been here with me for quite some time. If I'm just like blazing out by the sun in the Instagram live, like I don't really care because the sun is amazing right now. So just settle in. Let's just get settled in. However you want to join me. I may not even be able to see because it's so bright if anybody comes on or not. But it's a really beautiful day. It's going to be a really beautiful week. I really feel like we're going to have in the Northern Hemisphere an early spring. And so I'm just really excited about the weather. I've been working a lot with the weather devas and my local weather spirits. And there's just so much to share in today's show. So I want to get us started. So whether you're listening live or watching this live later on, I don't think there's anybody on here now. The sun is so bright, I can't see. Or you're listening to the podcast, I want to welcome you in. And let's just jump right in and get us all in some good old sacred space. I feel like it's going to be a really bright, cheerful week ahead. And right now, I am wrapping us all in love, light, love. Inviting in the guides who overlight this show, Archangel Michael, Archangel Metatron, the Pleiadians. We don't do this very often. We don't go live and do the podcast. I said I was going to do it the last Sunday of every month, and I kind of forgot a couple of times, but then Spirit was like, oh, today's the last Sunday of every month. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go live right now. So every now and then I may just like squint over here at the Instagram live and see if anybody's on there. I didn't announce this in advance, so I don't know if anybody will even be available. But that's okay. A lot of people watch these things and listen to these things later. So I brought my new little perfume. This is one I got the other day. My soul sister, Athena at Sage Goddess, one of my very, very first spiritual teachers and groups that I was in like way, way back. She is, if nothing else, she is a master perfume maker. No, she's everything else. She's like so superwoman, but whenever she has a perfume, I used to have like a whole ton of her stuff. And then I got rid of it all. I got rid of all my stuff and started over again, all my cards and all my stuff. But anyway, she had a buy one, get one free. So the Last Sunset is one of her potions, her creations that I got. And the thing with her stuff is like, well, I don't know, maybe it just seems to last forever. I'm going to have this bottle forever. I still have some of the perfumes I had from way back. I did keep a couple from way back in like 2015. I still have like bottles almost full of some of these. So I choose carefully, but there was a buy one, get one free, like an intuitively chosen one. It was very interesting, but I got some really fancy bottles with these. Okay. So I don't see anybody on the live at the moment. That's okay. I'm just going to keep going. So I do have a few little housekeeping items I wanted to share with everybody here. I have decided to just stick to one YouTube channel. Spirit asked me, they're like, we're going to grow your channel, but you need to like choose one because you don't want to be so busy and so overwhelmed. So they're thinking about me and thinking about far ahead into the future, I guess, and like, do I really need all these channels? So the channels are out there. Loveland Tarot will continue to remain. All the teachings, all the stuff, all the twin flame stuff still going to be out there. But, and my Tammy Lynn Chambers author channel is still out there. That's going to be more of like a business. I don't know, but it has a future, just not yet. And then I'm going to stick right now to TLC for the Soul on YouTube. But everything's timeless everywhere. We've had quite a bit of growth on the YouTube channel and in the podcast. And I'm just going to stick there. We've got over 500 now. They told the recent stats are we have over almost 550 shows on the podcast and on YouTube. So if you're coming to us from a major podcast provider, we're out there all over the place, then welcome. Thank you for that. Thank you for following us. Thank you for continuing to come back and play with us, because we're all about bringing the esoteric and making it, understanding it and making it fun, making this journey fun. The other thing I did want to mention for our Patreon members, or if you're interested in the Patreon, I've talked about it a little bit. I had created initially one tier. It's still out there. That's the Inner Sanctum. There are 19 spaces left in the Inner Sanctum right now. We do twice monthly live sessions based on the energies of who's in the group. That's where the topics come from. And if nobody in the group has any topics they want me to focus on for the lives, then Spirit will pick a topic based on what the people in the group most need at that time. So I purposely made it a very small group. I'm forgetting my water. I may have to go jump up. Oh, there it is. I'm going to roll over here. And I purposely made it a very small group because I didn't want it to be a super large group. I've worked with large groups before, but I like the close-knitness of a group of smaller groups, because I can focus more on you individually if we need to, just as the energy of that little group collective. So anyway, there's the Inner Sanctum, and I've created I don't know if you want to call it a lower tier. I created another tier called the Bringers of the Light, in terms of your membership there. It's a little bit less, and like less of a commitment, I guess. But it's where we're going to do the Bringers of the Light fandom. We're going to do a lot of stuff in there for expanding out the Bringers of the Light series, doing more stuff with my books. I do a lot of behind the scenes there. I posted something the other day, and we kind of did a little like chat about some of the things some of the behind the scenes things I posted. So that one is, and any extended readings I do on YouTube. So if I do a card reading or pick a card on YouTube or the podcast, if the guides ask me, or guide me to do an extended reading, then I will be putting all of those in the lower tier. And if you're in the Inner Sanctum tier, you get all of that stuff plus the additional stuff, plus 20% off any personal readings with me or personal services, healing sessions, and all that. And I think I've decided at this time that I'm only going to be offering personal sessions and services and healing sessions and all of the other, like the twin flame work and any other type of private sessions. I'm only going to be offering those now if you are a member of the Inner Sanctum. So I was guided to, I did update my website, and I did put that on my services page, that I'm only going to be doing that for people that are part of that group. Okay, so the month ahead. So we've yet to talk about the month ahead, and I'm going to come in and do a February energy hangout, probably the beginning of next week. And then the other thing I'm also going to be doing next week is an Imulk drum circle. So those are the two eminent ones I know for sure are coming up next. The energy hangout, we're going to dive a little bit into the energies for February. And then I guess they're saying I could do that now. Okay, so I could do that now and incorporate this Bringers of the Light chapter from our book, The Rose of San Juan Capistrano. So are those I guess they're saying that what's coming up now is going to play out all month long. Okay, that's fine. I'm down with that. I'm easily able to pivot and flow, trying to do more of a Taoist approach with things, and really kind of wrap my head around the Taoist philosophy of being in the flow. It means it feels like it has many different connotations to me, and so I don't know why it seems like it has to be so difficult, but I guess for kind of like I always tell you I like to understand the spiritual technology behind what I'm doing. And so I'm trying to understand the science behind the Tao. And I don't know if you can. I don't think you even can. I don't know if it's, I don't know. I don't know if you can. Okay, let's just leave the cap off the water. Although you do get some ASMR every time I do take the cap on and off. All right. So what we're going to do this month, let me get to my little February calendar. Now, let's read the chapter, because I think that is, let me just make sure that's all of my housekeeping items. I do have a storytelling for February that I'm going to do called Always Watch Over You, and I've done a little art piece that goes along with that. So maybe that's what I'll bring up early next week. And the song. Okay, so do I do this song now? And then we're doing the EBOOKS drum circle. And then if you are on the Patreon Inner Sanctum, our next live is going to be next Friday, the 2nd, February 2nd. And for me, I know there's like one other person in there with me right now, but I'm going to post that in Patreon, the time of that. But February 2nd is going to be our next live session. So if you're interested in joining the Inner Sanctum, I don't exactly know the topic yet for that live, but it'll be like me and the person in there now and you and whoever else wants to join, up to 20 people. And so you want to get in before that date. The song. Okay, so I've noticed other way showers doing this, and so we're going to drop a little bit more into the February energies, and then we're going to bring in the chapter from the Rose of San Juan Capistrano that has some additional metaphors for the month ahead. I don't know if it does. I'm thinking about what it is, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird, but they want me to read both of them. So there's 2 chapters to read, chapter 7 and chapter 8. Oh my goodness me. Okay, so the song of the month. Let me go pull it up. I just need to pull up the lyrics. Okay. Okay. So I've heard a lot of way showers shifting. So when we're talking about romance and, if you're a twin flame and all that, we started to expand more of our focus, not so much a deep dive into quote unquote the twin flame journey, but pulling out a little bit more so that we could talk about romance and relationships and love for all different, no matter what the label is. And so we did that. We started doing that a while back. We pulled back because we said the twin flame journey isn't accessible to everybody. It's not everyone's dharma. It's not everyone's soul blueprint. And so that can feel a little discouraging to somebody who's like, oh, I know my twins on the other side of the world, and I'm not on this twin flame journey, so I guess I never get to meet up with them this lifetime. So we pulled back from that a bit, and we're just starting to talk more about love and romance and quote unquote your person, just your one, whatever that label means to you. If you know you're a twin flame, you know you're on a twin flame journey, and that's a sacred thing for you. It's a sacred thing for me. I know I am on the twin flame journey, and I understand the energetics behind the twin flame soul signature. So I can dive down deep there. But for everybody else, maybe you're not. Maybe you're just manifesting your one, whatever the label might be. Maybe it's not even a romantic partnership. Maybe it's a friendship or something, or a soul family member. So let's just broaden our horizons there. However, I can say that the month of February, we are going to be playing a lot into the manifesting love thing. It's just a theme for the month, whether you believe or follow, Valentine's Day or whatever, the whole month, the energy of the number two, the energy of the number two, as it relates to love. We've got Archangel Chamuel here, who is helping me with all of the love and romancy stuff, and the self-love, and the cherubim angel surrounding us all. Like, that's like a state of beingness that also doesn't necessarily even have to do with being with another person. There's like this comfy, cozy, like hygge feeling of love. And then it just gets exponentially better when somebody else comes into the mix, right? No matter who they are, whatever, no matter what the label is, the love is exponentially stronger, right? When it involves somebody else. So the song that came up for February, out of the blue, it showed up in as I was one night like scrolling my YouTube. If anywhere I'm scrolling, it's usually YouTube or Instagram. We do post I call them almost daily shorts on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. So if you like any of those platforms, you can join us there. And I do like just the energy of the current moment there. But I was scrolling through my YouTube feed, and things don't just like, there's no randomness about what goes on in your journey. But this band popped up, and I was like, who are they? Get all interested, right? Who's that? Actually, it was somebody else that I really like. Is it Dan Vasc? Dan Vasc? I forget how to say his name. He's a Brazilian metal singer. Oh my gosh. I just like to watch him sing because he's so powerful. And his voice is very, very powerful. He's very, very dynamic, and he's Brazilian, so he's very, very suave. And he was singing a cover song from this band called Shaman. And I'm a child. I grew up in the 80s and the 90s too, so I was very big into the new wave of British heavy metal. And at the time, my partner was a musician, metal, liked metal bands like Iron Maiden. Introduced me to all this metal music that I really loved. His brother was a singer in a local prog metal band, and so that was the kind of music I was introduced to. And so I like that, melodic metal and all that. I like those sounds. And so Dan was doing a cover from this band called Shaman. It was called Fairy Tale. And I was like, who's this band? Because I feel like, when you're from a certain area, you're like, I knew all the music that came out at that time. And so actually they are from more like the 2000s, I believe. But the song's called Fairy Tale. I actually, after I heard him sing the cover, which I was like, man, this song, I don't even know what it's about. And I went and watched the actual band Shaman do the live version of the song Fairy Tale. And I'm still trying to wrap my head around a lot of the lyrics. So I'm going to just read the lyrics, but this is our song for February. We're going to unpack that a little bit. We're going to read our couple of chapters here from Bringers of the Light, and then we're going to draw a couple of cards. But the song is Fairy Lady. So it's Fairy Tale, like a fairy tale by Shaman. Fairy lady who stands on the walls. Life is short and the wait is long. The stars away dim with the dawn. Fairy lady who stands on the walls. Your tale has only begun. It comes from far, the nowhere land. The wind is blowing a sound well known. Fairy lady, your love is long gone. Oh, darling, hear my soul and heed my cry, 'cause all my crying may flood a river in my heart. Oh, life is good, life is good. Oh, life is good as you wish. Pretty lady, the horses are back. Oh, my horses. Every time. Oh, my God. I just realized that's a synchronicity for me. I've read these lyrics a bunch of times, but I never realized that. I'm always telling you guys, I've done some shows where it's the horses are coming, the horses are coming. Pretty lady, the horses are back, bringing joy and happiness. But all of a sudden, the horses are gone. Was only the sound of your heartbeat alone. Oh, darling, hear my soul and heed my cry, 'cause all my crying may flood an ocean in my heart. Oh, life is good Life is good as good as a kiss. Oh, my darling, now I cannot halt my cries. My tears have drowned me, and I refuse to realize what's left around me. It's all so strange. It's all so dark. I'm all alone here to mend the pieces of my heart. Little lady, your tale has an end, for your love to skies was sent. He's turned into sparks that shine with the stars, and by night he will always be there for his lady to stare, and thus he's never died. And the melody, not just the lyrics, but the melodiousness, melodiousness came out in one of my chapters. The melodiousness of the song too is very nice. There's a little bit of grand piano going on and some violin. And I do enjoy when some of those like heavier bands bring in like their power ballads. And that was why it was kind of interesting to me. I do have to bring up their tell me when Doro Pesch and Rob Halford did a cover together, did a duet for Total Eclipse of the Heart. That's another good one. I was very proud. I was very proud of them. I was very like, wow, you know, the softer side of the heavier energy is coming out more, I think, right, on the planet. We may get discouraged as we go about our daily lives and interact in certain places or circles or whatever, and we may see behavior and activity that's like disheartening. But I do feel like there is a balance that's being restored, and we just have to keep trying. We just have to keep. Where's that card from my deck? I put it back. It was like about keeping, hold on, maybe it's right here. It was about keeping the vigil. Where's this card? Is it on top? Oh, no, I shuffled. It's from this here it is on the bottom of the deck. It's called, the deck is Through the Eyes of the Soul. But the card, if you're watching on Instagram, I'll show the card there. But the card is Keep the Vigil, Justice Will Triumph. And I'm going to read that. I keep saying I'm going to read my chapters. Better get to it. The Justice Will Triumph. Vigil by the Holy Thorn Tree. Disruption. Remember to have compassion and sincerity throughout difficult proceedings. Seek legal counsel if necessary. And know in your heart that good shall prevail upon the earth. And the book said, I do like the book for this. Whether an inner battle or an outer one, physics shows us that the universe is always striving to return to a natural state of balance. The Holy Thorn Tree on Weary All Hill, Glastonbury is one of my power spots too, Glastonbury tour, on Glastonbury was a place where ancient knights performed their vigil before going into battle. It also stands as a symbol of the safe return from an arduous quest. The tree was recently vandalized and cut. This is tragic, yes, but it reminds us that the magic of Avalon, one of my power spots too, as with love, dwells in our hearts and cannot be destroyed by vandals or by any ruinous act of another. If we allow others to have that power, their intentions will be fulfilled. When you are weary from involvement in the problems of the world, remember to keep the vigil of your heart. Resting upon the nexus point of the knight's sword is the blue rose of immortality. The tree will rejuvenate itself and grow once again. And I think somewhere I read that the blue rose is symbolic of Lemuria. So anyway, so that's coming up. Keeping the vigil alive for the month of February. Now let me go ahead and read our chapters from the book. And if you've missed The Rose of San Juan Capistrano, you're like, what is this book? These chapters kind of stand alone. One of my spiritual gifts is clairaudience, and I just channel these chapters, and my books are all channeled via like automatic writing. I don't plan them out or anything. The intention is just set with me and my guides. That I want to, they bring me sometimes the subject matter of the story, and I'll kind of vet it out a little bit. And I'm like, yeah, I'll want to keep working with those guides and those spirit friends from the book. And that's how we born for the Bringers of the Light series and the Spirit Guides of Tessa Locke, and, all my different book series. All my ebooks are free to read at any major ebook provider. So Google Books, Apple Books, Barnes and Nobles. And I put the link in the show notes to my Smashwords publisher so that you just need an EPUB reader on your device in order to download those EPUB files. So let's see, what is so fun? So if you are not sure what's going on with the Rose of San Juan Capistrano, I have posted the first, I forgot how many now. I think it's 5 chapters as an audiobook on YouTube and on the podcast. So if you want to catch up with the whole story, if you're just part of the fandom, you just like the story, you don't care about the metaphors and all that, that's fine too. I know we're going to have that audience. That audience is growing and growing. Every time I see how many books have been downloaded, I'm like, yay, the audience is growing. I don't even know how many total downloads we've had now. I have to go play with those. I'm not a big analytics person. I like the high level, and I'm like, I can let somebody else drill down and do all that other stuff. But I have not paid attention to the total downloads of the books. But I know every time I get an email every month, tells me the downloads for the month. I'm like, oh, it's growing and growing. And we have had on the YouTube channel, although I know this is small in relation to Mr. Beast or something, because my mom's like, Mom, that number's really small. Because, somebody like Mr. Beast with his billions of followers or whatever, everybody's got their own journey. But I did get an email of the channel has been around for 6 years, but we had over 25,000 views of all of our shows. So I was like, that's a triumph for me, All right. So if you want to catch up with the story, you can go listen to the audiobook. I have made a playlist for it on YouTube and on the podcast. And so we're jumping in now to, I posted, I think, chapters 1 through 5. So now, and I've started an audiobook for starting chapter 6, moving on, and I just have not published it yet because I like to have at least 4 or 5 chapters going there. I don't think anybody's here yet. Okay. So we're going to read chapter 7 and chapter 8. This is the energies for the month of February. So I'm going to read the chapter first, and then we'll pull out any metaphors, the guides to kind of, poke me, and then tell me this is going to be a major theme for the month ahead. So this is chapter 7, and just a quick, tiny little backstory. This is Rosalie and Calvin. They're from the Spirit Guides of Tessa Locke series. They live in the sister city to Rockaway Point. It's my little etheric cities up in the UK somewhere, around in Ireland. I don't know. They're just kind of over there somewhere up in the northern coast. And they have been called on a free trip to another neighboring town called Whistling Gulch. It's a mountainous place, to the Forest of Forbidden Bears. And they are bringers of the light, like me, like you. That's our term here on the channel, our moniker for, light workers and light warriors and spiritual warriors and all of that. So they've gotten their limo. The limo came to pick them up from the Whistling Gulch retreat to bring them up there because their Bringers of the Light HQ headquarters put them on this assignment, but they don't really realize yet. They don't work that closely with Bringers of the Light HQ like Abigail and Dakar do. Abigail and Dakar are like, oh, hi, Cora, boss. We go talk to him all the time. These two, Rosalie and Calvin, are a little, they don't realize that yet. They're working their soul mission together, but they're not as involved directly with Bringers of the Light headquarters. The Bringers of the Light headquarters kind of fate called them to get them up to this Whistling Gulch retreat because something weird and dark and dastardly is going on up there. And they wanted Rosalie and Calvin and the Rose of San Juan Capistrano, which is a rose of inner power. It's part of our Rose series of books, to head out there and see what they can do to stop this darkness. So chapter 7 is, if I jump, are you going to jump too? So Molly and Greer, that's the garden fae and the house elf for Rosalie and Calvin, kind of stowed away in the limo with the Rose of San Juan Capistrano. But they followed the baggage cart at a safe, not-to-be-seen distance, although most people couldn't see them anyway, having been too serious and adult-like to even imagine a fairy and a house elf in their presence. But we know, don't we, dear bringer of the light, The magic and magical beings abound around all of us, if we can only take the time and quiet countenance to make note of them and say a cheerful hello as we pass by. The rose of San Juan Capistrano felt something in its presence, and its outer petals wilted slightly at the thought of it. Dark and ominous energy had that effect on its delicate parts. Greer and Molly waited patiently while all the bags were unloaded off the cart into the Whistling Stones suite. The bellhop politely held out his hand, and Calvin deposited a nice tip. They were, after all, staying here for free. They needed to pay the generosity forward somehow. "Is there a restaurant in the hotel?" Calvin asked, hoping so, because the mountain air and long drive had made him very hungry. Yes, I don't know the voice for the bellhop. Yes, the bellhop said, gesturing out the window of their suite to a quaint-looking cabin that had smoke billowing from the chimney. Auntie Bear's Smokehouse and Pancake Kitchen. Oh, he's taking it. Auntie, I can't see this voice. I forgot what I did. Auntie Bear's Smokehouse and Pancake Kitchen is open all day and night. You'll find pretty much anything you could want there. Or, he said, pausing, and not sure if he wanted to say anything about the other place, "there's another quaint lunchroom further into the forest. It's down a very clearly marked trail into the woods, and about a 10-minute walk if you want to chance it." "What do you mean, chance it?" Rosalie asked, perplexed. "Well, it has a somewhat strange backstory," the bellhop said, and then he quickly changed his tone. They weren't supposed to talk to guests about that time. "They have the best grilled cheese and honey sandwiches," he said, changing the subject. "I think we'll try that," Calvin said, intrigued. "Yes, let's try that," Rosalie said, sounding excited about the walk through the forest. "Well, it's settled then," Calvin said, walking to the door and helping the bellhop get the cart through. The bellhop looked slightly concerned, but made a mental note to follow up with Darius and Mercy at the front desk. These two were going to be difficult, he thought, as he adjusted his cap and made his way down the hall towards the elevator. Of course, if he hadn't brought up the other restaurant in the first place, then no one would have been the wiser. Many a guest had met otherworldly and dastardly dark circumstances on their quest for a grilled cheese and honey sandwich. Chapter 8, Mr. S. and the Honey Pot. Mr. S is our bad guy. He's the sprite. Well, now he'd seen everything, Mr. S thought, as he took the makings of his cauldron soup off the fire. The silly soup was supposed to be for the Whistling Gulch kitchens. It would be advertised as cream of mountain mushroom, but he was the only one who knew its true ingredients. The whole purpose of carrying out dark orders was to taint the energy around where one wanted to take on a stronghold. Everyone at the Whistling Gulch mountain retreat was too chipper and happy. Well, except for management only. That's the old geezer guy. But that old geezer had been HQ's idea. Plant a rather seemingly harmless old man into the management section of the retreat. But he would on every occasion make it difficult for anyone he came into contact with, spreading his ill humor, dubious attitude, and unkind rhetoric. Only Mr. S knew the true identity of Mr. Management only, the golem, having been created by S himself out of an old dead tree branch, some icky muck at the bottom of Whistling Creek, and a dark heart from the dead insides of an old cantankerous raven who had met his demise one sunny afternoon. All these parts were whisked together under the light of a blood moon, and Management Only, otherwise known as Mr. Ravenbottom, was born. Everyone at the retreat's offices knew to stay out of his way, and no one even questioned what had happened to pretty little Millie Vanderhooven, who one day packed up all her belongings and disappeared into the night. The next morning, Management Only had slapped his moniker on the door and shown up. Hold on, I can't read it. The next morning, Management Only had slapped his moniker on the door and shown up to the breakfast buffet with a series of odious farts and stupid stories about how to beat people at chess so one could take all their earnings. The stories seemed at first to be harmless, but if one listened long enough, then their bright, happy humor became dark, gritty, and sickly. just like the old muck that Ravenbottom had been fashioned from. So now, to get the cream of mountain mushroom to the Whistling Gulch kitchens, instead of a lovely little Friday night s'mores roast, Mr. S. hoped to instill ill will and malice amongst all the guests who were only hoping to have a nice dinner and a chat. And where all the ill will would lead was part 3 of Mr. S.'s plan. Right, it's just the typical. I guess, okay, as we dive into this just a little bit further to talk about February, let's see. I feel like there's new beginnings between 2 people here because of chapter 7 that says, if I jump, are you going to jump too? I feel like that's kind of like the fool's journey, but it's like you're taking it and maybe somebody else is going to be also deciding like, I'm all in, or I'm going to do this too. So if we put that into the context of February, and I do have to jump in with a little twin flame thing, for the month of February, those manifesting love, be you a twin flame or not, there's a huge window of opportunity from February 2nd to February 22nd. The energies are very, very primed for any type of relationship with your person to come, go deeper and stronger, and to come to fruition. So if this is someone you haven't met before, maybe they're deciding during that time, like, gonna take that jump, gonna make that plunge, gonna take this relationship to the next level, whether that's, I've been watching you for a while and now I've finally gotten the courage up to put myself out there and extend my offer and meet you, or you're further along in your relationship and your person is, deciding they're going to help move this along to a more committed level. And I think it's just fun, right? So anywhere we go, so we're going to this Whistling Gulch retreat. We're in our best, high vibiness as a bringer of the light. And here we are. There's always like somebody, right? Management only, Mr. S. Somebody out there who's not awake, not aware yet. This is this keep the vigil, keep going. Somebody who's not awake, not aware yet, who's either conscious agenda, could be conscious agenda, or subconscious agenda is to bring energy down because they don't feel good about themselves. They feed off of the dark energy. So you're looking great and they're like, no, that person's just too high vibe for me. Let me either consciously or unconsciously do something to rile them up, bring them down. It makes them feel good about themselves. I have a personal story, but I'm not going to bring it up now. Although I will say, because I'm going on 37 minutes and I want to draw a few cards. I will say, this is so funny. I've noticed this the past 2 or 3 times lately. Where I live, I've been spending a lot of time working, not a lot of time, but I do make a conscious effort every day to send blessings and high vibiness and good energy to the weather devas, the nature devas, the earth devas, and my local weather spirits, because I do not like this weather. The weather that was here last winter was absolutely ridiculous. Everybody local was like, that was the most craziest, harshest winter we've seen in who knows how long. And I was like, please, let's not. And I've seen it, I guess, across the country. So I can't say it's just here, but I do want to share this. So it's beautiful here right now. You can see if you're watching the Instagram live, and if you're not, the sun is shining, the sky is blue, and it's very uncharacteristically going to be like 40 degrees today. With the sun being out, it's going to feel like more than like 50 degrees. And I was outside yesterday outside yesterday with just regular clothes on, like no coat, no muff, no gloves, no like face totally covered, no mountains of snow. The majority of there's just a tiny bit of ice on the ground. Most of the snow is melted away. And I was like, this is the life. This is like the idyllic weather that really, I think the planet should be at everywhere. Idyllic, temperate, Garden of Eden type weather. Maybe not in the northern poles, right? I know there's like this balance of weather has to happen and all that. Like, let's just listen to this though. So I wanted nice weather, and I asked nicely, I'm like, please just have like fair, balanced weather. Like, I just, want my California dream and my California coast weather, which is like in the winter is like 50s and foggy. Give me my tropical coastal weather. And so it was beautiful here. And the past couple of times I've had to go to the other town. It's 60 miles away. And as soon as I leave my town, about 5 or 6 miles out, the weather changes. And it's all like gray and wintry. And I get to Fargo and I'm like, it's all like gloomy and gray. So that's what happened the other day. And it was like gloomy and gray. And I'm like, told my son, you know what? This reminds me of Gotham City. It's just like always, every time I come here from my town, it's always like chippery and nice and high vibe. And not that the sun's always out, but I'm like, there's a different feeling. And I get to Gotham City, which is a much bigger town. There's like, I don't know how many, I've got 6,000 people where I live, and there's, 100,000 some odd over there. And I'm like, it just feels so different. And then I had some interactions with people in the stores, and I was like, the people are different too. It's more like, man, and I'll show you you're wrong. So when I feel like when I get back to my town, I'm just like so like every day, like, thank you for my town and for bringing me here, even though I don't really want to be here. Like, I don't want to be here long term. This is not my intention to stay here. But I just am like, thank you for my town. It's so high vibe, and it's just that and the other. And so that's the kind of energy I'm talking about. It's with us. It's not just the month of February, right? You're in your happy bubble, whether that be your home, whether that just be inside your head, whether that's your town. And then you go somewhere and you're like, okay, boundaries are down, boundaries a little bit down. Like, oh, I'm feeling the love and the high vibes. And yeah, it's great. And then if I get too tired, if I get run too ragged, and that last time I went, I think it was Friday, I was run really ragged by a series of things that went on. I'm like, this is a test. I just know this is an initiation. And I had some interactions with people, and I'm like, oh my God, my blood boiled at one point. I was like, okay, stop yourself. Blood boiling. Don't. And so that's the self-awareness. Like, it's not that you can't let your blood boil, right? Because I was like, I felt it. It was totally like this old archaic feeling that came up inside of me, because usually I'm just in this happy little like shaman's bubble. I'm in my shaman's hut, my little house at the end of the medicine wheel. And, everything's great and I'm all happy and idyllic. And then I face this situation with this person, and I just felt my blood boil. And I was like, no, I don't want to feel like that. And I'm like, okay, I have two. So I actually did have the self-awareness to go like, take a step back. So I didn't like run with the emotion, but I felt the blood boiling. I was like, what do I do? I could do this or I could do this. Okay, what's the more high vibe one? I really want to do the lower vibe one, because like this person, I can't believe them. But I'm like, right, nothing's random. This person showed up for a reason. And so I decided to take the high vibe approach, which was just to send them, love and light, and not engage in their Mr. S and their Mr. Management only, like dark energy. And oh man, but I'm telling you, it was a test for sure. So that's going to continue to come up. It's not going to go away. It's going to get smaller and smaller. I do feel like every time we choose to take the high road, and that is part of that chapter of if I jump, are you going to jump too? It's like, okay, that person was coming at me with like all sorts of like personal agendas of their own ick. And I was like, oh my God, I was just like so tempted to just jump right in with you and like show you. I'm going to show you, buddy. And then I was like, no, you're a bringer of the light. You haven't spent how umpteen years on this journey doing all this work to like just throw it all away for one moment of victory or whatever it was that I felt like I needed from that. And I was like, okay, let's do the Tao. Let's take a step back, take a deep breath. Oh, I was getting, but the interaction by the end of it was many interactions that day. It wasn't just that. It started out with one person, there was something else, and then there was this, and I was like, oh, I'm wearing down. I can feel it. I'm getting tired. And that's the point when I was like, okay, boundaries. I've got to step away from this. And I was so happy to come back to my house. And I think it's taken me until today to just recover from all of that crazy energy. All right. So lots of stuff going. So if I jump, are you going to jump too? Try not to jump there. Oh, this is our monthly, so we can just go a little bit longer. And then I think there's going to be a lot of really fun stuff this month. Auntie Bear's Smokehouse and Pancake Kitchen. We're going to get the next chapter that we'll do next Sunday is Abigail and Dakar, but Rosalie and Calvin are going to make that trek up that scary trail into the Forest of the Forbidden Bears and go try the grilled cheese and honey sandwiches. So who knows? They don't want to go to Auntie. It actually sounds so sus. Auntie Bear's Smokehouse and Pancake Kitchen. I don't know. I'd rather go into the forest too and get the grilled cheese and honey sandwich. I'm a little interested in that combo. Okay. Let's just jump. So I would say for February, just be prepared for anything. If there's this huge window of opportunity between the 2nd and the 22nd, those are such union numbers. Where's my drink? Be prepared for anything there. Be open to magic and fun. Hey, if you want to do the drum circle with us, I'm going to try to record it for EBOOKS. So that's going to be one where it's going to be interactive. I want you to bring like your drum or your rattle or your voice or whatever. And we're going to just do a little drum circle together. Okay, I've got the pastel journey. I just want to get a couple of cards. Anything else the guides want me to say about February? The 8 of Pentacles. Now, I do have to say, with this Taoist approach I'm taking, the 8 of Pentacles, and with just the new Earth now, the new Lemurian light codes that we've been spreading all throughout this whole show, whether it's coming through my voice or coming through the light language of just me being on the screen. And I'm almost like, you don't have a whole, this like more up at the air vent. But the 8 of Pentacles, to me, has a little bit of a different meaning now. Because we always talk about hard work. Are you working hard? The Matrix, the 3D world, it's all about working really hard. I had to get a filling replaced on Thursday last week, and I went to the dentist, and the girl knows, because the conversation is always like, are you working really hard? Were you really, really busy all last week? And are you ready for the weekend? And like, it's such a 3D thing, right? And now I'm kind of like, I've heard several different way showers say it, and I still don't understand the science behind how it works this way, but I've tested it, I've experimented with it, and it does work. But it has something to do with being in the higher realms, in the 5D and beyond, in higher levels of consciousness. But it does work. If you go slower, you get more done. It sounds so counterintuitive, but try it. Go slow and just go with the flow, and somehow you end up accomplishing more. I don't know how it works. I'm still trying to experiment with like, why does this work? I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense, but I've tried it many, many times, and it does happen. So the 8 of Pentacles is coming up for February as a card of the month, but it's like under the guise of, if you go slower, you'll get more accomplished. So play with that. And then we're going to get one more. Oh, we're going to get one more from and I've got 2 card decks out. More 2s coming up. Telling you about my romance friends out there. We're going to get my deck, Spring Fling. It wanted to come out early out of the tarot drawer, and I was like, yes! I kept telling somebody, I want to keep telling them, but I said to them a couple of times, like, I think it's going to be an early spring, and they're local, and they're like, no, I just can't buy into that. And I'm like, I think it is. I just feel it. When I go outside in the morning, I can't explain it, but I smell spring in the air. There's a certain smell and a certain feel to the seasons changing. I'm like, I already smell spring. And there was a lot of birds around right now. And last year, I remember at this time, it was so devoid of birds. So the birds have come back early. I see birds in nests. And I'm like, bring spring, because, I'm not a long-term winter person. All right, let's get one more from my deck, Spring Fling. Pisces energy. So if you're looking at this on the video, on the live, he's holding like 2 cups. Oh, there's 2 cups again. One in each hand, and they've got a fish, the Pisces symbol, but there's some other little symbol going on. He's got little glasses, and we've got little sour worms or whatever is the candy on this one. Lots and lots of purple energy with green. Lots going on in the crown chakra. Pisces energy. I'm a Pisces rising. It's all about flow, water, a nice balance of water, right? Not a raging river, but not such a slow drip that you're like annoyed, like, dang, that drip. I wish that faucet's dripping. I wish it would stop. It's like this nice, like the ebb and flow of the ocean on a nice, beautiful day in Maui, where everything's right in the world. Oh my God. Okay. Is there anything else you guys want me to say about February? Okay, we have gone on long enough. So there is actually nobody on the live at this time, which is fine. I'm going to leave this up there on Instagram for you guys to watch if you want to. And we're going to be posting this on the podcast. So this is our February Energy Hangout for Bringers to the Live. I am so happy that you joined me here, and I hope you will partake in any of our other offerings that speak to your heart for the month ahead. And if you are interested in the Patreon, you might want to go check that out. Links to everything I've talked about today are in the show notes. And we will see you all again soon somewhere out there. Take care.
This episode was brought to you by the Romance Angels. For, love is truly all there really is. Take care.